Talk for about an hour. Well, I'll do a bit of, no, I won't talk for a whole hour. I'll do a little bit of an introduction and then we can do some questions and answers. But we'll have a break in maybe about an hour. I think it goes on till 9 o'clock tonight. Or 15 minutes.
Hier ist auch noch frei, ne? Das ist auch so. Ah, ja, okay. Wie die Kunden jetzt. Wie auch so. Weil du was dahinter steckst. So potentially this could be an odd meeting because normally when you come to talks, it's about learning something or leaving the room, being able to say that you've got somewhere or achieved something or you've learned something. And these talks aren't really about you getting anything. This is going to sound really strange. I don't really know what they're about, to be honest. If I'm really, really honest, everything that I talk about always comes back to a question mark, like to not knowing. So actually, if I go for the bold statement and say it's about a deconstruction of a self, actually, maybe it's more about not knowing. So I'm a big fan of animals and I enjoy watching animals, and animals have something that humans don't, and that is they don't suffer. And suffer's just my word for it. It's just a word. It's quite dramatic, suffer. But with an animal, life just happens. So things appear and disappear. And the animal, there isn't somebody in the animal holding on to things. So if my dog is chasing a cat and it's putting all its effort into chasing a cat and it's run a whole mile to get this cat and then it loses the cat, then it's like, just sniffs something else. It doesn't even register it's lost the cat or hasn't got the cat. It just sniffs something else. It's like one of those writing boards that you had as a kid, where they're kind of, you write on them and then you have you write patterns and you write things on them and then you have a screen underneath that wipes them clean. This is a bit what the dog's like. So it's like she doesn't get the cat and then it's just like, boop, boop, and then she's like, and on to the next thing and smelling something else or up to something else and it's just gone. Or to say if it's more of a difficult thing, like I'm telling her off, or she's in physical pain. We once walked into a hornet's nest. It's terrible. And first of all, I had to get the hornets off me, and she's crying. So I had like 6, hornets on me, and I was getting them off me, and they were stinging her, and then I had to get them off her, and every time you get one off, it stings you, and she's crying. And then you get the hornets off, and then she's like, boop, boop.
Yeah.
And then you might see her sniff the hornet sting again, and then she's like, boop, boop, it's gone, and sniff it again, but it's gone. It's not somebody holding on to anything. It's like a blank canvas. Appearances come and go, come and go, come and go. And there's nobody inside the dog that's in relationship with what's coming and going. I don't know if I'm speaking too fast. You're more than welcome to tell me to slow down. My friend says the English sound like turkeys, like when we get going. So if I'm sounding like a turkey, just tell me. And so this happens in all animals. They have this thing where life is just coming and going, and there's not a them inside the body in relationship with the world. It's just a happening. It's even simpler than it's a happening. It's not even a happening. They haven't even got the concepts of it happening. They haven't even got the concepts of its appearing and disappearing. It's even beyond my feeble attempts to describe it by saying it's a happening or it's appearing and disappearing. And animals are amazing to watch because they can have really fucked up conditioning of the body. So there can be an animal that's been abused and they can have very difficult conditioning of the body and they can have very difficult reactions to things. So they might be aggressive towards humans or aggressive towards other dogs or spend a lot of time reacting with fear. But in all of it, it's still just appearing and disappearing. There's nobody that's holding on to the fear. They don't even know they're in fear. They don't even have that concept. It's just expression happening, energy happening, not good nor bad or right or wrong. It shouldn't be another way. They don't imagine themselves as a poor dog that's been abused. It's just a happening. And what happened with the human is this amazing thing happened in the human. It began to be able to perceive the body. And some animals can perceive the body, it seems, but not very many. But it doesn't go any further than perceiving the body. But the humans began to perceive the body and be able to describe the body. So they could describe that the body moved. They could describe the body moving through time. They could describe what the body did yesterday. They can describe what the body's going to do tomorrow. The animal doesn't have this ability, but that also means that the animal can't do so many complicated things as the human can do. The human can do amazing things like make iPhones. A dog I've not seen yet make an iPhone or work out how to record something. It's an amazing ability, the ability to think. And I'm sure it just started off with hunting, like making a tool, like we see monkeys can make tools. And then through the making a tool, we got more and more complicated, and the thinking got more and more. And it's not wrong or bad thinking, but the mistake happened of believing that was who you are, and you were actually describing someone. Before the ability to describe, there was no sense you were a body. You were a handsome body or an ugly body or a good body or a bad body or a fearful body or a happy body. It was just a happening. It was like the animal coming and going, coming and going. And this is the freedom of life, the fact that it appears and then it disappears, that it's all no thing, that it can't be grabbed hold of. As soon as it appears, it's disappearing again and changing into something else. This is the beauty of this appearance. It has to be a moving. But the human, as it begins to think, it begins to try and hold on to appearances and to be an appearance, to be a solid appearance. And it gets lost in this world, which becomes energetical, it becomes all these feelings of holding on to things and perceiving itself in relationship with the world. And this whole different dimension starts, an amazing dimension in some way. It's something that is not experienced in the animal kingdom, of imagining. We imagine ourselves falling in love with people, we imagine ourselves losing our kids, or we imagine ourselves dying, we imagine ourselves having things, We imagine that we've got money in the bank. We imagine that we're successful or unsuccessful or not good enough, which is the most imagining of what humans do, is imagine that they're not good enough, which is kind of sad it went like that, but that's what they do. They imagine that they've got to get things and attain things, that they've got to survive well. The animal doesn't imagine that it's got to survive, it just does it. It has the ability to think in so many ways. It's creative, it can paint, can make music. All this imagining creates amazing things, but it also can lead to suffering, to huge amounts of suffering. And it can be an uncomfortable expression at times. And it's more of an energetical thing than just an imagining thing. If it was just imagining, it would be easy. It becomes like an energetical experience. And we have all these dreams while the body's awake of who we are and what we're doing and where we're going. And then there seems to come a point in this imagining that we come across something that points out that it was all an imagination. I don't know why. Then it begins to get really weird, because this isn't about learning or getting something new. It's about losing something. And you never get to a place of, I've got it. It's just that you lose everything that the you that was in relationship with the world was holding on to. And it's completely an energetical thing, this energetic contraction that's kind of in relationship with the world. And when you go back to being like an animal with the ability to still imagine, but it's not you anymore, it's just a happening. You is just a practicality to survive. It's like a social thing. The you appears when you need to book a train ticket, or you need to describe what the body's done. But it's not who you are anymore, it's just a practicality. It was what it was always meant to be. Well, ment's a funny word. It's funny, you go back to this, it appears and it disappears. And for nobody anymore, like it's not appearing or disappearing for you in relationship to the world. It's not you're a separate object or they're a separate object. It's just appearances that is all one thing or no thing. It's not, it's so hard to put in words. Like, there's so many mass appearances, and no appearance is more you. There's no one thing that you can hold on and say, this is me, including the idea of awareness, or I normally say beingness or aliveness, like that's still a thing. It's just a happening. It's not happening for anyone. Who are you without imagination? And I can't answer these questions for you. And really all of my answers are nonsense, because we're only speaking in this imagined land. But it might be that coming here and sharing about this, that it's not quite remembered, but I'm just going to use that word for communication. This freedom, that is your nature, like it's everything's nature, this energy that's free, it's not an energy that's free, this your nature which is free. Well, it's always been there, it's just got covered up by this false stream that's holding onto things, that's trying to make this something. I've got to make myself something, I've got to make my life something. What life? Where is your life? And anything that you think about non-duality can't be it. Anything we think we know about non-duality can't be it. Even though it's so weird, because it seems like I'm teaching you new concepts, I'm telling you new things. This is all you ever wanted, believe it or not. It's kind of funny. You thought you wanted pleasure. You thought it was about the next thing that you'll get, or making everyone see that you're worthy and lovable. Or you thought it was about something. Actually, all you ever wanted was for it to appear and disappear, which is what's happening. Even the you's appearing and disappearing that's holding on to things. It's just happening so quickly that it's making it seem like a solid thing in time. This has been happening 20 or 30 years. So if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask. And what often happens is you're like, oh, I know what our answer will be, or oh, it's all hopeless or pointless. Because the energy's there, it sometimes, when it wants to come out.
When you look at me, what do you see?
Well, what do you see when you look at me?
A body?
Without thoughts. It's so intimate without thoughts.
Something that is moving. Okay.
That's still a thought. That's still a description. That's something you think you know. It's not that thoughts are wrong. They were just, but we see the world through these thoughts.
Okay, that's the question. What do you see? Rosa or?
Yeah. I know, but I can't put it into words. Like I could say this or what's happening. And when it's relevant, the thought will come up of, what did you say your name was again?
I didn't say your name.
Oh, you didn't say your name. Well, the thought will come up of young lady or something if it's relevant. If it's not relevant, then it's just a mystery. Like, yeah.
Is it more shining for you now, or is it absolutely the same? But you don't think anything about it, or same colors?
It's the same but empty. Whereas before it was like this with me making sense of this, and it's just now empty of it. And then me.
When you see these eyes,
yeah.
You don't think about it, or do you think it's me, or it's energy, or what do you think?
Nothing.
When you look?
Okay. So, but when it's relevant, thoughts will come up. Like the thoughts are like if it's relevant to say you've got brown eyes, that will come up. But then when that disappears, but it's happening there as well. It's just the focus is always in thoughts, is always in that personal energy. But this mystery, this silence, this nothingness is happening everywhere. It's the way of things. And then the mind comes in and describes it again. And the activity stays in describing.
You don't describe it, okay, but when you look
it's not
eyes, it's okay, it's not important to describe it, but what is it for you? Is it someone, not someone else, but is it you see, or is it the one thing who is like tentacles everywhere and
it's like what?
Tentacle.
Tentacles.
Oh, tentacles. Well, it's not tentacles. Only when I take acid.
It seems to me like being a tentacle, not a marionette, but a tentacle. No free will, but I can nothing do about getting somewhere else or feeling differently. It's like tentacle, but it's not.
Like it's like the energy. I didn't understand what you said.
I have no free will.
Yeah.
I cannot choose to go anywhere else or to feel differently.
No.
So I think, for me, I feel like a tentacle.
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
No one's ever
There's
described
someone
it.
else, and then it's moving.
Oh, yeah.
And who? There's no who. Okay, but something must do it. Something must say it wants to do. Also,
Yeah. Someone must be. the answer's always here. That it's not an answer. It's not going to be a satisfying answer because the you without the you is it. That's really confusing, but this aliveness is moving it all, which is nothing. No thing moving it. But you'll never look at it, you'll never know it, because that would only be a divided thought of you, of a somebody knowing it. It's just happening.
But who or what makes it that this appearance is sitting here and not somewhere else?
So you know that I before I am something, or that aliveness, that beingness, that's everywhere. It might feel like it's you as somebody in time, or you as a description of the body.
I don't understand it.
You know when you were born, well you don't know when you were born because there's nobody there when you were born, but when the body was born, and when maybe the body was still quite young but there was some form of thinking, you remember that aliveness before you knew who you were? Like that you were a body? But it's not something that you can see. I could explain it to you intellectually. It is. It just is. This isness.
You are not interested in that, what I am asking anymore, because for you it is what it is, but...
Can I share an idea?
Just 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are not interested in why is this like it is.
Not at
It's
all.
what
Neither
is.
are you. Neither
But
are you.
I'm
All you're
interested-
interested in is stopping suffering. That's all you're interested in. You don't give a toss about who's doing it. But it feels like that. That's just all you're interested in is stopping suffering.
Yes.
That's all you're
And
interested in.
yes.
And you think that you'll get it through intellect, and that's so okay, well that arises, and through understanding non-duality. But what's happening is the person in there is going into the tiger's head, and going into the tiger's mouth and being eaten without you knowing it. As soon as this subject comes about, the you begins to get destroyed, but you can never even comprehend that. Everything you think you know and are begins to get deconstructed, but you're not even aware that that's happening.
And there's no, in the whole, there's nowhere in the center. I don't think of someone,
No
but
center.
of a consciousness
No.
who does.
No, there's no center. But it's okay. That's not your problem. The problem
There's
is
no center,
is you-
nowhere in this
there's no center.
eternity.
But you don't care about this. What you care about is not seeking anymore. That's the uncomfortableness.
And that's interesting for me because why is this like? Why do you take this cup of?
I know, it's amazing.
No,
It's
it's
really
interesting
amazing.
for me. Who decided to do that? What decided to do that? It's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get no answer. Okay.
Yeah. Like always, we never get an answer. It's like... Anyway, sorry, yeah.
Maybe it's too late, but I remember this question is like, you look at me and what you see, so like, but the eye has no mouth, so the eye cannot talk. So like, it's like asking for a copy of like, can the mouth repeat what the eye does? You know what I mean?
Well, thank you.
It's all absolutely meaningless. Meaning was only ever made up in the human world in order to...
But when, okay, everything's meaningless,
Yeah.
okay. When I look at the world, it's really meaningless.
Yeah.
Because what I
It's
see
really meaningless. Like, this is so funny. It's like...
But what do you do the whole day?
It just a lot of looking at the wall, but this is just so freaking pointless, and it's so funny because before it's like the tea has meaning. Okay, I'm going to drink healthy tea, and I'm going to be a healthy body. But it's absolutely meaningless. There's no purpose of this body being alive. It's no better than any other thing appearing than the wall. But it's happening. It seems to be happening anyway. We could even question that and get to that. We're not sure if it's happening or not.
Yeah, I was just thinking when she asked what do you see, I was wondering if it's like like when you walk through nature and you are just walking through nature without thinking, oh, that's a lovely tree, or look at this tree. You just with the tree, walking through the trees without like grasping it, or it's just there or something.
And there's no one looking at it. I think driving's a better explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Normally when you're driving, especially on the motorways here in Germany, where it's like going 200 miles an hour or something, there's no one there driving, there's just driving. Or going on one of these fairgrounds.
So and it almost seems like you are not perceiving it, you're not seeing it, because you're not labeling it, you're not.
And the same with the you seeing it, it was always a made up thing. It's absolutely emptiness watching. It's not even watching. Like even watching is a separation. It's a divide. It's so bizarre as the person gets more and more questioned as how empty it gets. And that's why the dog's just like doesn't get the cat. The human's like ah. The dog's just like boom boom. It's so empty, this, and also so full, but not full for anybody. There's not anyone that this is full for. Mm-hmm. Everybody sitting here knows this, but not as bodies and not as thoughts. Like this is known, this is the way it is. It's happening all the time, but there's nobody there to register it. The person is only registering activity and seeking and looking and what's important to me, what has meaning, what's going to benefit me, what's going to give me it. It's only focusing on those things. There's so many times where the world's disappearing, but it's not registered. There might still be a little bit, yeah, I'm not sure about that. A little bit of person, even when there's just driving, there might still be some separate energy, very slight bit.
Another question.
Yeah.
When you absolutely don't like someone, and suddenly it apparently happens. Yeah? You see this appearance again. What do you think? How is it? What is the difference?
Before it was like me that didn't like them, and they were taking away my happiness. They were taking away my pleasure. Mm-hmm. Now it's just pain. It's not even pain for someone. It's just the sensation appearing. It's just.
It could be the same emotion, but it's not for someone.
Yeah.
But the emotion could be the same.
Yeah, and it's not their fault. It's not their fault that they're the pain. It's not
Before
like
I say it because of you and
I'm unhappy.
you just did.
And it's like there's nobody there that's making you unhappy. There's just appearances coming and going, and there's no divide between this body and that body. That's just imagined space.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
Do you like you talk about like programming, right?
Yeah.
So do you have like a set of rules, kind of like? I mean, are you vegetarian?
Mostly.
But I mean, like, let's say, here Vienna is full of sausage box in the street.
Yeah.
And like, if somebody like says, okay, let's have a sausage, then you like, is there like something like, hey, but actually I'm not supposed to eat sausages.
I don't know what happened. Maybe it's like just no thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
And what about beer?
I prefer wine.
Okay.
But the body has its preferences, but that's nothing. That's the same with the dog. The dog has the conditioning. If we take the dog as the example of freedom, or the animals, they all have their conditioning. Like the bluebird behaves like the bluebird, and there's some birds that just eat insects. There's some birds that eat the dead animals on the side, and there's some birds that even take animals alive. There's some birds maybe that just eat the grass or the dirt off the water. Mm-hmm. It all has its And none of it's right or wrong, it's just as it is.
Was there like something before? Let's say before the falling away of the self.
Yeah.
Was there more rules in your story over there? Like I don't know, vegetarian, like no killing, compassion, all this.
Yeah.
No drugs.
It was just all about me finding my happiness. It was all about me finding a better existence.
Yeah.
And it might have been, my better existence might have been because not eating animals, I was doing a better thing and making a better world. Or not drinking alcohol might not make me hangover, so it was, or not eating sugar like the raw food. It was all about finding happiness when the person was there. So it was just always about trying to just feel comfortable with what was happening.
Can we say this is still left over this program kind of like?
No.
No, like more things are possible. It kind of doesn't mean that they're gonna happen. But
It's just a happening, and there's not the energy that's going into having a house like this will be better. How can anything be better? When you really think about it, normally when you've begun to get into the subject, you've begun to come to the conclusion that you can't find better. Like what could possibly be better than this? I was like, well, Lisa, we can all be rolling around naked. What could possibly be better?
Then what?
Then what?
What? How would you continue the sentence?
Yeah. Better than... What did my sentence say?
How could it... It couldn't be better than this.
Yeah.
No,
What could be better than this?
than just this.
Yeah. What could be better? What could we possibly think of that would be better? Mine's like, well, we know it. We all know it. It's not true, getting the money. If you're a fortunate one that's got loads of pleasurable objects, then you're like, yeah, okay, it's not the money. If you've had lots of lovers, you're like, yeah, it's not the lovers. If you had lots of kids, you're like, okay, it's not the kids. Very nice society. I like my kids, but it's not the kids. What else could it be? Holiday, travelling the world.
So it seems like an infinite capacity of feeling discomfort, and I mean, then it falls away to search for being more
what
comfortable.
seems to happen in the apparent process is that not all the time, it's so different, but what happens in a lot of cases is there begins to be this sense that you can't find it in the world. And then there does tend to be, in Buddhism and I think in Christianity, like Jesus walking through the desert for 40 days and 40 nights and the Buddha sitting under the tree and all these hells and pleasures being presented. And it does tend to be this dryness because you can't find it anywhere. And there does seem to be this period of time where it's uncomfortable because you can no longer get a pain relief from society. You can no longer go to your lover and get it. Whereas before you were kidding yourself if you get it. And there was like this high and this excitement and it was like, yeah, I got him or her or whatever it is. And then there seems to be a period where that discomfort's still playing out, that you're not enough and you need something else. But there's no longer an idea of where to get it from. But then you're so fucked by that point. The body just like sits there under the Bodhi tree. Not to make Buddhism special or the Buddha special, like it's a very unspecial story really. It sounds special when we tell it again and again. He sits there, just sits there and hell presents itself. Heaven presents itself. And then finally it's nothing. It's nothing. And it sounds so negative, nothing or emptiness, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's no thing. It was always just this was appearing and disappearing, and as soon as you label it, it's changing into something else. It's already gone. It's not about the things. And then some people some people are just walking around, it's just, none of that, but some, it seems to be this kind of, like this energy of discomfort and not being able to relieve it. But everything goes, that's for sure. It comes, it goes.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
How is it about with stillness for you that you feel like it just, I mean, like right now, this is somehow really sinking in, and I just feel like
The stillness. Some people describe it as stillness.
So I wonder how this is for you, if you even feel like speaking and not just
I would call it
being
more,
in this.
yeah. Yeah. I would call it more emptiness than stillness, but some people, I understand, like I get why they say stillness, like this emptiness. Like this is it, but even beyond that concept's even too busy. But it's amazing actually, because the mind does come up with that and says, I'm never going to be able to do anything again. And then people ask questions, you're like, blah, 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 blah. Well,
I have a question.
yeah.
I just recently came back from like a long time away, South America,
Yeah.
and I got to know you and Tony Parsons and these people,
Yeah.
and it was amazing. Like, it was very nice. But now I came back and all these like old characters are here, and like especially with my mother, there's a lot of like, for example, she said like, he was such a nice kid. He has such good manners. And then like everything went down, you know. And,
You got tattoos and
yeah, and so many troubles. And like in this situation, I would just say like, that's not me. I mean, that's not me.
I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's my question. Like I feel like a lot of times I cannot like bring this content, you know, on the table because people like, hey, but participate. You know?
Yeah.
And if I just say no,
Yeah.
there's
See,
nobody.
and
It doesn't work.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work, and in a way it's a bit of a defence. It's like, they're sitting there calling you an arsehole, how do you know you're not an arsehole? Or like, better worse, like if you're, like if your mum's saying you used to be such a nice kid, and now you're not, you don't know that you're not that, you don't know that you are that. It's just appearing those weird words from her, and it might be painful.
Mm.
There's no defence. I often get called names and it's like, yeah, maybe. I don't know what I am. You don't know what you are. You've got nothing to defend.
No, there's nothing to defend. But let's stick with my mother. She has a lot of small things in the future, you know. Like she hangs up the laundry,
Yeah.
and then she goes like, maybe it's gonna rain, maybe it's not gonna rain, and I have to get my stuff together to go to Hungary for the bicycle ride. And many things all the time.
Yeah.
Small things in the future.
Yeah.
And then, I just...
It makes you feel uncomfortable?
No, but I just say, there's no future.
But why you even, but the reason...
I mean, there's no, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't say there's no future, but I just, like, I try to, like, say, hey...
But even the attempt to try and convince her of anything is you wanting to change her. There's nothing to change in this. Nothing's going to make anything better, including having a mother that likes you or agrees with you.
Yeah, but this is like, you know, I'm walking through like a beautiful landscape.
Yeah, and she's like in agony.
I have like so many things. I should remember them even, you know. Like I have to do them, like put the towels over there. And so like I say, like why don't we just feel the wind? And this is not trying something. It's just. I feel like it's a work of, you know, bodhisattva concept. Like I have kind of a mix-up of, you know, there's so many inspirations to like basically punch people in the face through words. That means like, to say it simple, like I'm asking you if you like, let's say with your parents or something.
Yeah.
You always tell them that's bullshit.
No, I never mentioned this at all.
No, they don't even know like.
No, I got in big trouble the other day because I smashed their car. And I was like, they were just selling it. They just put it in the paper the day before, and then I've driven it on and off for the last year. And this is most probably the last time I'll ever drive it. I've never bumped it. And then I reversed it into the wall of their new house.
Nice move.
Yeah. And then straight away you're like, well, that couldn't have been any other way. You really can't when these things happen. Like, you couldn't have done anything different, it just happens. And then I get out and they really tell me off for it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm an idiot. Yeah. And that's that. That's the way it is.
Okay.
You can't change people. Normally dreaming of changing people is because it's all about you. It's not about them. All the other people are your imagination anyway.
Yeah, the question is more like participating, you know?
Yeah.
Like, do I have to participate in this?
There's not somebody there that has that choice. It either happens or doesn't. You are just as much imagination as your mum.
Yeah, but let's say you don't participate in a way that you tell us these things, you know. So I tell you like, okay, let's just get too complicated. I just give up.
But what decides that it happens like the way it happens?
Nothing.
Then nothing.
What's nothing?
Yeah, well, consciousness, intelligence.
Is that nothing?
That,
Is that nothing?
then nothing. There's this intelligence.
You get intelligence from the word nothing?
Yeah, then nothing means for me no
Intelligence.
body. But intelligence is and has no body, so it fits. But it's too easy to say nothing.
But remember,
Because,
you don't
what
really
is
care.
it? Who does that?
You don't really
Must
care
be-
about this. All you care about is the end of seeking. I know you think you care about it.
you think this about this appearance, but this appearance has a lot of interest in this question, getting an answer to this question.
Only because it thinks the answer will be the end of suffering. It's all the person's ever interested in is stopping suffering. It
Okay,
looks everywhere for it.
okay, good idea.
No.
I'm
Yeah, it is an idea at the end of the day.
in. Ooh, why is this like it is like it is? But there's an intelligence. Who does it?
You're never going to find it.
You don't find it because it's everywhere. And it's intelligence.
And because
Who
the
makes it
only-
like this and not
The only ability of finding things is to think. And thinking is the tiny experience in this. What other way
I
would you
don't
find
want to
something?
find it. I just want to hear it.
Because
what
you want
is-
to be loved by this intelligence?
This intelligence is everywhere. So why should I want to be loved by this intelligence?
Because that's all you want, really. Is you
My
just want the
question
end of
is-
suffering.
Yeah, but my question
Lisa,
is...
no, just answer the question. I
Lisa,
don't want to be loved.
Listen, what is it that this is like it is?
What is it? It's like it is because it is.
Okay, it is like it because it is.
Yeah.
But what did it?
Nothing.
Then nothing.
And nothing
An
is not
intelligence
something.
or
No,
what?
nothing. No thing. Intelligence is a thing.
No. It's everywhere. Or eternity. Eternity. It's everywhere. It's intelligence for me.
Is intelligence God to you? Is that what you mean by intelligence?
When there's absolutely nothing. Where is this what we see? When there's nothing. That's not logical.
I know it's not, is it?
No, Lisa, that's too less for me.
I know.
Because nothing, that's not the
But-
distance.
But all you want is you want the end of suffering, and what suffering is this energy that's looking for something better than what's happening, and it's a sense of this isn't good enough, that your nature isn't good enough, and it needs to get somewhere else.
I don't about this what you're talking now. I'm just interested in the
So that's where the
in
subject comes from. I
I promise you.
I'm not suffering, I'm just interested in that. You don't understand what I'm asking?
I understand. Well, actually, I don't ultimately. None of us understand anything, but like I get the gist.
It sounds like you're a Naturwissenschaftler, also a nature. Do you know what I mean?
Scientist.
Yeah.
Sounds like I'm
They
sorry.
say there was nothing, and from the nothing there was the planets. That's not logical.
Yeah, it's really not
No.
logical.
Eternity, intelligence
But have
makes it.
Have you
This is
ever
logical.
questioned logic?
Okay, then besides logic, there must be intelligence, but otherwise it could not happen what happens.
The answer's here. The answer's this. The answer's this. But it's not in thought. You're looking in thought for the answer. Yep.
Do you still have the experience of special love? Like loving a special person? Or is it all like...
The body still has preferences,
Mhm.
but not. There's nowhere else to be. But I think my dog's really fucking funky. I've got a dog. But she's not here, and that's the way. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, so there's no missing or longing, because that's not here. No?
No, it's just not here.
Yeah.
Just this.
No, because I'm thinking, like, if you feel like, I mean, I guess you're living a normal life, like from the outside. Nobody, I mean, I don't think you're sitting at home and just blissing out in emptiness. Or I'm wondering, you know, if you're like, oh, I would like to go out and have dinner with blah blah blah, you know, and if you like think of that, that's a thought that's coming up, and I'm dialing the number and see, hey, are you free tonight? And
Yeah. Whatever happens, happens. Maybe quite. Or it's very ordinary.
yeah.
But it's not. It's always. You can never know
what you're going to be or what you're going to do. You could make a bold statement and then life does the opposite. You're like, oh, okay. No, I never go out with friends for dinner, and then you're fine for the next week. Ding ding!
Is there boredom?
Is there a what?
Boredom.
Boredom. There is anything can appear, but it's not for anybody anymore. But whenever you ask about Lisa's experience, it's what normally you're not wanting to experience, or like you're looking at this state that Lisa's got to, and you're like, okay, so am I going to not experience boredom anymore, or am I going to stop seeing friends? You're just trying to, you're really not interested in Lisa's experience, you're just interested in where you're going.
Yes.
And you don't want to experience boredom. You can never get out of whatever appears.
Oh yeah.
And what's a bit of boredom in eternity? If a boredom appears, we're bored.
Yeah, that's my question.
Forever. This is not just a human life, this is forever. Beyond even the concept of forever. Forever is a very tiny concept. You see, the way it works with the sense of self is you're looking at yourself with boredom. But there's nobody there looking at yourself. There's no two people. There's nobody inside there. That imagination of yourself with boredom is a complete fantasy. There's just experiencing happening, which is a sensation, you could say, of like energy wanting to move where it can't. So that's maybe what we describe as boredom. That sensation of wanting to move, and there's having to sit still. We got lost in that intellectual world of you once removed looking at yourself. Who is that? The person doesn't exist. There's nobody there.
I was just thinking about, because you said you would rather choose the word emptiness, and I just thought that's weird because it feels so full to me. I mean, it's still, but it feels so full. I don't know, that's not even the right word.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm like, how
could she describe this as
could
empty?
this be empty?
Yeah.
So, yeah, almost like like a fully charged battery or something. Like something.
Yeah, one side maybe. And there's this, we're more used to the fullness and the emptiness.
But if there's pain when in Lisa's body, a very long time, and we say till the body dies, pain, there's pain in the body, and it's okay.
Just pain.
Really?
Just pain. Just sensation.
But when it's really hurting,
It's really hurting.
then
It's really hurting.
then sensation can come up, stop.
The body's always going to move to address pain. So if its leg's on fire, it will address it, go to the doctor. But it's always just as it is. If you're not in there trying to avoid it anymore, then it's just as it is. Who's that person that thinks it knows it has pain and wants to go somewhere else? That person's been a dream. It's not reality.
Yeah, this I understand. But if there's
Yeah. The body will move to address the pain, but if it can't, it can't. If there's not anyone in there watching the pain anymore, then it's just as it is, like with the dog. My dog with all those stings, it was like, it kept nudging the stings with its nose, and then it becomes bored. It becomes agony when it's happening to you. And there's a removed you looking at the pain, telling a story about the pain. But that person's a fiction. That's absolute fiction.
This hurts a lot.
The pain.
To look at something and
See something in pain.
But the pain itself in the body pains also.
So it hurts.
It's also painful. So
it's painful seeing something in pain. Is that what you said?
I know you talk about the pain that exists when we think we are a person.
The suffering.
But when the body hurts,
Yeah.
it hurts.
Yeah.
Although there is no person.
It hurts.
And this is also nice.
It is as it is.
Yeah, this is what.
In all these bodies, everything that appears is destined to rot. It's destined to grow, rot. Everything that appears, even these cushions, everything that appears is going to change into something else, and that might be painful to change into something else. It's pleasurable, maybe the growth.
Or is for Lisa thankfulness important or
It's absolutely irrelevant.
irrelevant? Everything is meaningless.
It's not even everything's meaningless, it's just as it is. So
There's no everything.
So who would be thankful for things? Who would perceive?
But then there is
who
not
would perceive?
but meaningless. Then
But
also
who
doesn't
perceive
exist.
my life's better than this person's life? Or my life is better. I'm thankful for my life over this person.
Not over this person.
Over
I'm
this.
thankful because I can experience this. Or not I, but to see this is.
That's all
So
in the
great,
personal. It's a personal story. Who sees this? It just is as it is. Is the dog thankful? The dog just is.
He's perhaps very nice to you when he gets something and remembers that you are nice to him. So he remembers that. And I think...
No, just in the moment, in the moment that it's given food, or in the moment that Lisa appears through the door, then an expression in the body happens, but he's not thankful. He doesn't even know who he is. Who would he think he is? Or she, my dog's a she, but who would she think she is? She can't even perceive herself in the mirror.
Slapped the dog, the dog would know it.
It's not the dog. There's no dog in there. She doesn't know who she is. It's just the conditioning of a robot, just like the plant grows towards the light, but we're not saying the plant is... Yeah, we're not saying the plant is choosing to grow towards the light. We understand that it's just growing. With everything that moves quicker than plants, we're like, it's doing it, the ant is moving, the human is choosing to move independently. The human is a flow of a result of everything that's ever happened, which is nothing. I think we see the breaks at 8 o'clock, so we can have 5-10 minutes. A coffee to wake you up. Or a glass of wine to knock you out. Oh God. Another hour. With a friend, and because we fed it, it then had to cross a road back to its home, and as it crossed the road, a motorboat ran over its stomach. And then it took like 8 hours for the dog to die. And it's like this is life. Like, not just that, but it's so full of all these different extremes. We had the joy of feeding the dog. That was such a nice joy. You feed the dog, and the dog's getting fed, and it's getting pleasure from the food, and that's joyful. And then life does the opposite. But this is what all of life's like. But we want to make it just one way. We can't. The answer to life is not the one that thinks it can manipulate life. It's the collapse of that one that thought it existed. And then you become like the dog. And that dog, when it was dying, it wasn't that that everything has to die. The freedom wasn't in... we tried to make the pain better, but the freedom wasn't in making the pain better. The freedom that the dog had was it wasn't thinking, I'm dying, this is happening to me, life's abandoning me, I'm separate. Why is life treating me like this? I've been abused. Why did that guy just run me over and drive off? Like, he could have stopped. Like the bike could have stopped in time, but it just decided to, it just went and did that. It's not in all of that. The freedom of the dog is the fact that the pain's appearing and disappearing. It's only the human form that's holding on to it.
Okay, and what with the... Okay, your dog is... dass er umgefahren wurde, aber what about the women's?
I know, it's sad.
They suffer perhaps a whole life long, and the others have no consequences, and they think they are a person, and I have to look at it and can nothing do about it. And
the body could attempt to do some things, and maybe it will affect some lives. It could attempt to try and do something to the body, but you won't find your freedom in it, in saving the world. But your body could attempt to do that. It could live and try, but you won't find your freedom there. You won't get rid of that agony inside of you from doing that, because you'll never be able to patch it all up. It'd be impossible. It'd be like trying to patch up a cloud or something. You'll never, like, in order for the dog to survive, it has to kill animals. In order for the human to survive, it has to eat other forms. And animals do terrible things too. Like with the way they treat each other. Like, and humans as well. And it's not that your body might not strive to change that and make it a nicer environment, but the end of your suffering isn't in that. That's just the flow of life. The end of your suffering is the end of the personalization of all of this, the emptiness of it all. The fact
then
that
I see this all. I see this all, and it's not important for me if someone's suffering anymore. If something, a body is suffering, it doesn't hurt. Or sure.
No, sometimes. No, I think that it will still be painful. I think it will still be painful. I think in a way, actually, the body will be more sensitive to it. But there won't be it's happening to you anymore. It will just be pain appearing. You're like, what the pain? But it is really sad. It can be really sad sometimes, life. But with that sadness comes the joy and the beauty of seeing somebody help. It's so beautiful when you see someone help another being. But it all comes in opposites. Then at the same time, all of this Middle East isn't happening. This is the bit that sounds so cold. But where is all the Middle East? Where are all these other women when they're not presented to you? Do they actually exist?
On the earth.
But have you ever had proof that anything outside of this exists? You're very strong. The mind will assume that it does.
I was there.
But now, does it still exist?
Yes. In another area on earth. For sure.
Yeah?
That's not paradise on earth for every being.
But science is beginning to prove that unless it's looked at, it doesn't exist.
What's it?
Science beginning to challenge this.
And?
That things exist outside of being looked at. Are you sure that it exists?
When I see it?
Yeah. But you're not saying about seeing it, you're talking about being away from it and still the belief that it exists. I know this sounds so cold, especially if you're coming from that pain of...
I see it also in Vienna, and I'm very sensitive.
But
I was in
not
these
now.
countries. I know it's not paradise there for these bodies.
Yeah.
It's fact, and I'm
Vienna.
personalizing it, the feelings this body. I know, but
Are you sure that Vienna exists outside of this?
outside. There's only one thing.
This. And are you sure that there's a Vienna outside of this? The
This
experience.
is also Vienna, so nothing is outside. They say also everything.
This is all there is this, what's happening, and then there's an imagination of Vienna. Are you sure there's an actual Vienna? Are you sure your mother, that all of these things exist outside?
Yes.
Sure, 100%.
They live, the bodies
They
live somewhere else.
Are you sure? You're 100%
Yes.
convinced of that? 100%.
There are somewhere, some other bodies outside there. This is for sure. Although I'm not seeing that these bodies right now. Or?
Yeah.
Lisa.
But are you sure?
Yeah. I think there's a planet Earth.
You think?
Although,
But they used to think the planet Earth was flat as well. And then everyone had...
but isn't it true?
Yeah, so you're sure anything else exists outside of this? What's the experience told you? Has the experience told you there's ever been outside of this one aliveness?
There's one.
Yes.
One. And it's like for me water with icebergs. Eisberge. Sagt man auf Englisch.
Yeah.
Icebergs.
Iceberg, yes.
Okay. It's all water. All water. So, yes.
You're positive. Because that's a big I know something. That I know something exists outside of this. What if you're wrong? What if all that ever appears is what's happening? That all that ever exists is what's happening? That's a huge suffering. Again, I can't tell you the answers to any of this, but there's a conviction that you know there's an outside of this room and that exists independently of this.
Your dog was dying, although I didn't see it, or was it really real?
Well, we've discussed it in stories.
In your perception, it was real.
Well, not really, but really what's happening is the thoughts and images are always appearing now of it. I don't know that really happened for sure. I know that there's images appearing of it and sensations, like feelings and things appearing of it. That's what's happening, but I don't know that actually happened. If I bumped my head and forgot it, did it happen? When this body dies, did it ever happen? When you wake up from a dream at night, did it ever happen?
It was a dream.
Did it happen?
As a dream, yes. It was so real as a dream is. It was a story with no meaning. Yes, it was happening. Of the intelligence that is everything, or of the... But the fact is, some bodies are happy and some are not happy.
What about if one of these bodies saw... Oh no, I forget, that's too complicated. But yeah, carry on. It's
and
there's some bodies that are what?
Are happy and some are not. I'm really a lucky girl because I live in a place where peace is, where's peace and my suffering is mostly here.
Yeah.
When I see something who's suffering.
I think it's worse though than physical suffering, the mental suffering.
Yes, but many are physical suffering and.
I feel more sorry for Western countries.
Hmm?
I feel more sorry for the people in the Western countries. Even though if they've got a really unfunctional society, they don't have such a big person inside of them. And that's all the suffering. And once this is seen, that all suffering comes from that person, then physical pain is physical pain, but it's not your unhappiness. Everything's subject to that.
Did you ever thought, perhaps before it happens, why I'm such a lucky girl, lived there and had this, and some woman or some man have to face really cruel...
I did before, but now I look at it the other way around. I see people with wealth and money and very lucky life situations, and I see a big weight of suffering. I see people that are fighting to survive and they're very much in the moment. They haven't got the time to think about themselves. And they're not suffering as much even though they're in great pain.
You see them as dogs?
I see them as less suffering than Westerners. I see them more.
Thank you very much.
I see them more in what's happening, in just trying to survive rather than what's my purpose. Like Westerners just have so many ideas about
They could
themselves.
still think so much about it, yeah.
And that's what suffering is though. Unhappiness isn't what's happening in the flow. Like this wouldn't be, I wouldn't
like I'm saying, this is freedom, and it's not about having the perfect life situation. There's no perfect life situation. All suffering comes from that person that's interpreting this. And everybody is doomed to destruction and pain and pleasure as well.
And some more than others.
Some more than others. Yeah. Oh, there's another whole room here. Whew. It's just us.
Do you have, do you, also, yeah? Can I say you or should I say Lisa? Or this body? Do you have a feeling for what is happening with planet Earth? Perhaps Golden Age,
Perhaps what?
Golden Age,
Oh
Paradise,
no.
perhaps duality, and the whole what? Duality, perhaps that's the destiny of planet Earth.
The destiny of everything is just to appear and disappear, like it always has.
And perhaps duality.
And perhaps
Whoosh.
the Earth, soon explodes and it's over.
No, not explode the duality concept and the suffering, the pleasure, and then it's only unconsciousness, love.
This is all you wanting to find meaning. You're not going to find your happiness in meaning, just like you're not going to find your happiness in saving other people. You know, you're not going to find it in meaning.
Okay, I'm happy with unconditionally. Unlimited. Also, okay, without conditions. Okay, I know that's the best. Also, that's yeah, but planet Earth, paradise.
You're not going to find it in that. But even if it does or doesn't, you're not going to find it in that. That would just be a happening.
It's genau.
It's just the mind trying to find a way of meaning. You know, if this is going somewhere, this is going nowhere. This is just one. It appears, it disappears. It appears, it disappears. And that's the joy of it. It's not the mind sets up and it's like, yeah, we're going to get to a non-dual society, and then it feels like it's got somewhere to go. This has got nowhere to go. If I take away freeing and saving the world from you, where does this go? When you begin to, often when spiritual people begin to stop, often they go through a period of, they realise it's not in material things. So it's not in getting the job, the car, the lover, all these, having the kids. So then they go to the next thing and they're like, saving the world, that has some meaning. The car, the lover, this has no purpose. Okay, the only thing that could possibly have purpose is saving the world. None of it has purpose. You save the world and then the airplane crashes and kills half the society. Well, there's no paradise. Paradise is what's happening. You will never ever save this world. It's
No,
only
not you save the world. Okay, but
it's the
perhaps
mind trying to find somewhere to go.
the
Okay,
destiny.
so the car, the job, the career, all of that's meaningless. And then it goes, saving the world. It's meaningless, honestly. But it's so beautiful when you see someone give someone that's starving, you know, like a home, and that's I like to see it. I like to do it. I don't always have the money, but I like to do it in the moment. But you're looking for a story to find meaning, and then that will make your life better. It will make you feel better. You feel this fear of seeing pain, and then you're like, okay, I don't want. Well, what my life is about is saving the world, is making this a better world. You'll never find freedom in stories. Your freedom is right here, right now, and it's got nothing to do with saving the world.
But disappearance has no problem when planet Earth is paradise for every being.
I know, but
And when it happens, it happens.
yes, yeah.
Well, it could
But
happen.
but you won't find your paradise in that. Your paradise is your nature. Otherwise, it wouldn't be freedom. It would be dependent on something. But it's so great on this kind of saving the world, because it's you see it in most of spirituality, and there's a period of going through, okay, so everything else is meaningless, but saving others isn't meaningless. It's all meaningless. It all has no purpose. All the purpose is for it to be. That was it. Human being, to be. That was all life was about, was to be. That's the freedom.
When people come to sessions like this,
Yeah.
more and more feel better and better, and this.
I don't know if they always feel better.
Now, yes. More and more explode, also more and more got freer, and they feel
Yeah, but
like
I
paradise
can't-
inside,
I
and
can't
then see
freaking- I
paradise
can't-
outside, and then really paradise.
But I can't even notice that anymore. That's just part of what happens. The imagination kind of stops. So it's just like, if other people are free or not, it's not in your imagining. You're not imagining other people, it's just as it is. Free or not free, it's just as it is. So it doesn't make any difference.
Do you see paradise? Do you see this? This is
Not me seeing it, but this is freedom, what's happening. It's not in saving people. But again, I'll say, I love the story of giving something that needs to be fed, or that's like, I love watching when someone doesn't just walk past the beggar. No, everyone tomorrow is going to be like, here beggar, supporting the alcoholics.
Can you say something about the panic of a few people, like what you are telling us,
Yeah,
and Tony Parsons and
Yeah.
stuff? There's a lot of panic, saying like
it's meaningless.
you cannot jump directly.
No, because you don't exist. You can't jump there at all.
No.
It happens. You get destroyed without you knowing it. So
But these people say, okay, I don't know if I can say this name
Yeah.
on camera, but maybe
it's all right. You can wipe it out. We'll do that.
it's, for example, Tim, he says like, you cannot just go there and stop. You still have to be this character or something like this.
Yeah. I don't never really know about I zone out, but the character appears when it needs to appear. But it's not who you are. It's just another thing appearing in this. So if you need to book the tickets, or someone asks what you did yesterday, the character jumps in. But it's not you. It's just another function.
Mhm.
I don't know if me and Tim are talking about the same thing. He always says we are, but I don't know.
I don't know either.
In your introductory talk,
Yeah.
you said, I think you said that something like that it's really more about I think you said energetics
Yeah.
than thought or something like that.
Yeah.
I think so. I was wondering if you can say maybe more about this the energetic side of what.
The energetic side of the person feels trapped inside of here, and it's always it feels like it's looking from here, and it's this energy of feeling like there's a center in here, and it's in relationship with people. And when life doesn't go as it wants, it hurts here. It feels like this, and there's not actually anybody in there. There's just emptiness.
Okay, so
And that energetic expression is an absolute illusion. But it feels very real. It feels like choices coming from there.
Yeah,
It's actually
I
coming from
definitely-
boundlessness.
okay. I definitely experience that. What you say. I mean, I experience choice or whatever, or however you would say.
And it feels like there's a centre that the choice is coming from.
That,
And that's you.
definitely. Yeah.
But there's actually nobody there. There's nobody that's producing choices. They just appear, and they're actually appearing in boundless space, in emptiness.
Well, I mean, I mean, it's difficult for me to.
Understand.
Well, I mean, like with the mind, it's easier, but I mean to really experience that. It's
Yeah.
for instance, like I often struggle with fear, for instance.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's not really a question, but so from what you from the space from what you're talking, how do you I don't know how like so when I experience fear and something, and you say though it's all space actually,
Yeah.
or I don't know.
Yeah, fear is appearing in boundlessness, it's not your
Yeah.
fear. The problem is when it's your fear, then you think that you can do something about it and you can get out of it, and that's the actual struggle. Rather than it just being pure on fear, pure or whatever it is, and everything is fear, and when there's fear, everything becomes fear. Rather than it just being like that, it's how can I get out of this fear? You can't. That was a dream, a daydream. And then all this struggle, this mental struggle, what did I do wrong to get this fear?
Yeah.
How can I get out of it? Why am I experiencing this? Why is the other person not experiencing it?
I mean,
What's
yeah.
going to happen to me?
Yeah, that's definitely.
The dog just experiences fear. And it's free, believe it or not. The mind's like, how can you be free with fear? This body experiences fear in the aeroplanes. Up and down, up and down. I look out of the window and there's endless space. When we turn to the side, it's just fear though. It's just appearance. It's not happening to you. You're not vulnerable. The mind still wants to look for a way to get out of it, which is what way it is, the way that functioning of the mind works. But it can't, whatever appears, it can't get out of. Have you ever experienced getting out of anything? It always happens, then it stops, when it stops. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm sure I do something.
Well, it's possible for me, I don't know, I guess if something's very uncomfortable to jump into the thoughts more
Yeah.
and kind of try to disassociate with the feelings
You think that that's possible for you to do it.
in retrospect.
But that one that thinks that it's doing it in the moment is an appearance and isn't who you are. It's appearing in boundlessness. That's who you think you are, the one that's choosing to either stay with the thoughts or not stay with the thoughts. That's just an appearance, just like the light. That's not you. Well, it's you in the sense it's appearing in this. This is where the human gets stuck in this tight energy. I'm the chooser.
Yeah.
It's just an intention moving. But how are you doing that? Who types in to move the attention or to make the decision to go with the thoughts or not go with the thoughts? Who's writing that one in? Your assumption that is you, but who's producing that? And then it's this boundlessness. There's this freedom. It comes from absolutely nowhere. This infinity. And what can happen is that energy can shift from that narrow person that makes choices to this emptiness, this I can't even, and it can't happen by the appearance. It happens because it happens. The appearance can't make it happen. The appearance is an appearance.
Isn't it so because I mentioned fear before, so isn't there like in my relationship with the fear, so
There's no you in relationship with the fear.
well, at the moment I experience it like that.
It feels like that, yeah.
Yeah. So it seems to make a difference then if I don't know, experience the fear in a way where I don't try to escape it or not.
It might seem to make a difference, but that's all appearances. The boundless freedom is what it's appearing in. And that's okay, that might be making the life better, but it's still not you doing it. It's happening in the same way that the sun comes up every morning. The attention, the programming is reprogramming itself to stay with the experience or something. But all of that's appearing in this infinite space, this emptiness. I'm sorry. There's no hope, is there? Nothing. There's no hope in appearances.
Well, I don't know. I get. I mean, I don't get really what you're saying. I mean, because I never experienced it that way.
No, you never experience it that way because use an appearance. Who would experience it that way?
Well, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't even experience myself as an experience. I don't know.
I don't know either. Basically, all this shit comes out of my mouth, and ultimately, I don't know. I don't really get it. But in response, this is seemingly coming out, but it's not belonging to anyone. It just comes out. God knows what we're all talking about. And here we are again. Just this. Can go anywhere.
Lisa, I don't know if it's a question. I saw on the news, I don't remember how long ago, maybe 3 months, 4 months, the French news that a man had moved from, imagine that he lived in Paris and he went to live in Lyon, right? It's about 600 kilometers, and he left the dog with some neighbors, his dog, and his dog reached Lyon, the place where he lived. For me, it was just it had such an impact that this dog, and I mean, I've read things about that things like this happen.
Yeah.
No? So, can you expand a little bit, because
I know why it had an impact. I know why it had an impact on you.
Yes.
You maybe don't want me to announce this on the camera. because it touches that mother-daughter relationship again. And it's that idea of coming home to each other. But it's what you, all that you've ever wanted is the dissolving of the you, and then there's no separation between any object. Nothing's coming home to anything. But that's a really sweet story.
Yeah.
I think my dog would do it too. My mum opened the door, tomorrow I'll be like, "You're here!"
But it does happen, doesn't it? With
Yeah,
dogs?
dogs are amazing.
That when their owners are ill in hospital, they find the hospital. You just don't know how it happens. And
But you're getting me on this, as soon as you get me on dog subject, but dogs are the most successful predators, and one way in which they hunt is they will all go on a big hill in different places, and they will together trap the animal, but they can't hear each other and they can't sense each other, and they will all instinctively as a pack. It's amazing. It's just like watching the starlings. Is that how you say the word? The birds? The starlings?
Mm.
And they will all, and it's terrible the way the dogs kill an animal.
Yeah.
Terrible. Big buffalo, it takes hours. And the 20 of them will all end up at exactly the same point. It's just like the starlings. And if you've ever seen starlings fly
Yeah.
together,
Yeah.
and you're like, how the hell do they all move together? But this is why humans, with their intelligence, pick the dog as their
companion, because the dogs are amazing predators or hunters.
But it's not really helping to want the separation to stop.
But you can't start that or stop that. But that's what happens when that personal energy is there. All it can do, all it is a looking energy. It's looking for different things. If it wasn't doing that, it would just be this. So it looks for other things, so it can't help it. When it's looking for the end of separation, that's what it's doing. And it will stop when it stops.
So it's just one appearance in the nothingness.
Yeah, yeah. But it does seem that life likes to play this game of dropping that in some human bodies. And it ultimately dies with death, with physical death, or with the body moving into something else.
So then suicide can be a helpful thing if you want us in separation, right?
I love it. This is not a good question. This gets me in so much trouble. I've been asked this many times before. Well, you can't choose whether you do suicide or not. It either happens or not. There's not someone in there that's choosing anything.
So you know, when you say that, it even takes the purpose of, yeah, well, it is non-duality. Because then in the end it doesn't matter if you are
Away from
free
not.
or not free.
Because your nature is freedom, so when the body dies, it's only in the human body separation happens. When the body moves into something else, then it stops. It stops with the brain, the end of the functioning of the brain.
Yeah, but even the suffering, because of wanting to feel not separate anymore, is a homemade suffering.
Yeah, and it's like a tiny little drop in the ocean. Like it's like a tiny little experience. It feels so big when that personal energy is really in agony, but it's a very small part of this, that separation. And that body is not always separate, but it doesn't know the not separateness. It's always focusing on activity and things and movement. And this isn't talking about any of that. But yeah, it is all purposeless, because you can get into liberation, you can say it's about saving the world, and then you're like, okay, we can't save the world, it's about enlightenment. It's not, it goes with the body. This can sound really depressing to the mind, but it's so sweet when it's heard beyond the mind. Because that mind energy is all in subject-object, what I can get, and what's my purpose and where I'm going. And this is talking something beyond that. But to that mind energy, somebody called me recently, and they said I sound like a depressed, enlightened person. I can understand that, because it sounds so negative what I'm saying. It's so negative, that activity of looking at things, and it can bring up so much fear sometimes. To the idea to the person that they've not got meaning. But then what do I do? That's the thing what do I do with this? They're not doing it, but that would be the question to the one that thinks it's separate. Is like, but what do I do? What do I fill my time with? What am I going to do for the next however long? And they worry about this infinite time of not having anything to do, not having meaning, where it's just all the same. That sounds so depressing. I've got to talk about love, then the room will be full.
My fear is, I have the feeling that I'm in this body and not somewhere else.
Yeah.
And when this body dies, and another body is formed in another situation which is really horrible,
Yeah.
then I'm in this,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I feel I'm here and not somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, I can get that. Why in imagination that would seem scary.
Yeah.
But there's no freedom in imagination. This isn't about imagination. But I can understand that that seems like a scary thought.
It's really, I don't understand, because although there is no one, I understand this somehow, but I feel through this body and not through someone else, and not through something.
Well, actually, that's not 100% true, because you think you feel through that body, but you can only feel through that body if you're separate. But I can't explain this to you very well.
Mm.
Like, if there were no other things, would you feel? If there were no other things, would the body feel? So, okay, I'll explain it a different way. So, you know, a dream at night. In the dream, normally you look through a body in order to experience the dream world. Sometimes you're not, sometimes you're the moon looking or the sky looking, but most of the time you're looking through a body.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to have the experience of that body, there's got to be all these other things, otherwise there'd be no experience. But it's all the same dream. So it's got to dream in the door handle, the walking through the door, the wind on the skin, the sights, the visions, the sounds. So it's not actually that body's experiencing, but that's how the mind's interpreting it. There's not two. No, thank you. It worked. Happy customer. Oh, we're over time. Well, that's it. Well, this is it. We do 2 more talks. Anyone's welcome to come. I can't remember how we had it set up. Was the booking or no booking? I forget. It doesn't matter. Come if you feel. If not, well, the body will come if it comes, and it won't if it won't. It's nothing to do with you. Yeah, you'll be like, oh, that was a terrible talk, and then you'll find yourself here tomorrow, and you'll be like, oh, for fuck's sake. It'll be nothing. Thank you.
Thank you.